My daughter has always wanted to work for a publishing company since she was a young child. That dream has now at last materialized. My daughter once requested if she could throw a welcome party for my restaurant's new hires. However, Anthony called me at the last minute to cancel right before the party started. I took up the phone and called my daughter's boss after witnessing her sob. "I'm going to cancel our contract with your company." "What?" "John is my name. I am currently the CEO of a chain of exclusive restaurants. My parents were very busy, but we weren't a particularly rich or impoverished family. My mother was a manager at a small to medium-sized business, and my father was employed by a foreign corporation. Thus, on most days, they both departed early for work. They typically arrived home after 9 p.m., even if they arrived early. As a result, I ended up handling the majority of the housework." "Really? That must have been difficult." The kitchen crew was very interested in my narrative and listened carefully. "Yes, indeed. It was hard juggling it with school. However, the house would have been a mess if I hadn't done it. It's similar to how people who live alone all of a sudden learn how to take care of themselves." "I understand. Did you discover the allure of cooking as a result of your experience with housework and decide to pursue this career path?" "Oh, although I didn't detest cooking, it wasn't the reason I entered this line of work." "Really? What was the cause, then?" "Really, it's nothing noteworthy. Both of my parents were busy, as I mentioned, but a person can only handle so much. My mom became ill one day as a result of working too much." "Oh, I'm sorry for asking personal questions." "No, everything is all right. She is presently doing great, and it was only temporary. However, I prepared some food for her at the time. I'm not sure what it was, but it was definitely some sort of porridge." "I see. It made her very pleased. She insisted that it was great and devoured it all, despite the fact that she wasn't feeling well and didn't have much of an appetite. It dawned on me then. I think I fell in love with food at that very moment." "What a lovely story." "Actually, thanks." Our break ended as we were speaking, and we resumed our work. We closed without any problems because it was a weekday and business wasn't too busy. One of the employees who had been listening to my story earlier approached me as we prepared to depart. They seemed interested in learning more about my history. We made the decision to carry on the discussion at a local bar. "Are you truly that interested in my life? You know, the story isn't exactly a dramatic roller coaster." "That's all right. I find it useful to hear about someone who started a firm from the ground up. I might even be able to mold my own future with it." "All okay." "Okay, so where did I end up?" "You were talking about how you first got into this industry, right? Let's pick up from there." I then began thinking back on the past. I studied cooking and kept up with housework until I graduated from high school. I was able to persuade my parents to allow me to enroll in culinary school once I graduated. My dad was a bit of an academic, so convincing him was difficult, but my mom was on board from the beginning. I worked at a number of restaurants to refine my talents after graduating from culinary school. I eventually trained in a famous restaurant for roughly 7 years before becoming self-sufficient in my 30s. "I see. And now you're the CEO of a restaurant group with 10 locations in the city. That's impressive. It's a bit embarrassing to say it myself, so thanks for putting it that way. Does training in a prestigious restaurant really make that much of a difference in skill development?" "Absolutely. The environment around you has a much bigger impact than you might think." "Thanks for sharing. I really learned a lot." We continued chatting casually for about an hour before calling it a night. I'm glad they see me as a role model, but maybe I should have been more honest about the hardships too. Still, I didn't want to put a damper on their enthusiasm. Now, I am the CEO of a restaurant group with 10 locations in the city. By most standards, I am considered successful, but I have sacrificed many things to get to this point. I sacrificed my teenage years, friendships I could have formed during my school days, relationships that could have lasted a lifetime, and even my family. It was back when I had just started my own business. At that time, I was already married. But since I was an unknown person trying to go independent, I prioritized work over family. Back then, nothing mattered more than getting the restaurant up and running. I was sleeping about 3 hours a night, if that. Thanks to those efforts and a bit of luck, I managed to build the position I have today. But I'm fully aware that I caused a lot of trouble for my family in the process. Since neither my wife nor my daughter ever complained, I let that become an excuse to neglect them. To others, I probably looked like a lousy dad who abandoned his family. And honestly, I can't make any excuses for that. Reflecting on my life so far, I headed home. My wife, Mary, was already asleep, while my daughter, Sarah, was staring at her laptop in the living room. I'm home. Oh, Dad. Welcome back. You're home later than usual. I went out for drinks with the staff. What are you doing up so late, Sarah? Just working on a college assignment. I took it easy after finishing job hunting, and suddenly I realized I had a ton of work piled up. Ugh, my neck hurts. Oh, I see. But why are you working in the living room? You've got your desktop computer in your room, right? Actually, the air conditioner broke. I can still sleep in there, but doing assignments without the air conditioner in this heat would make me overheat before the computer does. That makes sense. Did you already call for repairs? Yeah, but since it's a busy season, they won't come until the beginning of next week. That sounds rough. You can lay out a blanket and sleep here if you want. Really? Thanks. Of course. Just don't overdo it, okay? Got it. And with that, Sarah went back to staring at her laptop. As I took a bath and got ready for bed, I heard Sarah's voice coming from the living room. Ah, finally done. Oh, you finished? Yeah, it's 11:47 now. If I had been a little slower, all my hard work would have been for nothing. Wait, was the deadline today? Of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so desperate. If I ended up repeating a year because I didn't have enough credits, all the job hunting would have been for nothing. By the way, where are you going to work again? Oh, didn't I tell you? A publishing company. It's not a big one, though. A publishing company, huh? That suits you. Sarah has always been passionate about books. Ever since elementary school, she would spend any free time in the library or a nearby bookstore. She even went on to study literature in college. All right, I'm going to bed. I have an early class tomorrow. All right, good night. The next day at work, one of the staff members who had gone out drinking with me yesterday rushed over. Thank you for yesterday. I really learned a lot from our conversation. No problem. I'm happy to share if it helps. Thanks. Oh, and guess what? When I got home last night, I found a wedding invitation from a high school friend. I hadn't thought much about it before, but I guess it's around the time people start settling down. That's great news. Yeah, around this age, a lot of people start thinking about family. Speaking of family, your daughter Sarah is graduating this year or next. Has she decided on her career path yet? Funny you mention it. I just asked her last night. She's decided to work for a publishing company. Oh, that's great. It sounds like she's really thought about her future. I guess she didn't want to get into this industry, huh? Well, to be honest, I did hope she might. But from her perspective, the restaurant business probably seemed like something that always took priority over her. I guess it doesn't hold the best memories for her. I see. But that's just my selfish thinking. I'll support Sarah's decision wholeheartedly. Yeah, that sounds like the right move. And then, 6 months later, Sarah successfully completed all her credits, confirming her graduation. Starting in April, she would finally be working at her long-awaited publishing company. Today, to celebrate Sarah's graduation and new job, the whole family went to a nearby restaurant. Congratulations, Sarah. When you were buried in college assignments, I was really worried you wouldn't make it to graduation. But it looks like you pulled it off. Yes, seriously. I have to admit, my last-minute concentration was pretty impressive. I'm so glad for you, Sarah. Getting a job at a publishing company. Ever since you were little, you were always reading whenever you had free time. Thanks, Mom. Now that you mention it, that's true. Do you have anything specific you want to do at the publishing company? Well, I'd like to work in the planning department, I think. I haven't really figured out what kind of projects I want to work on, though. I see. I'm looking forward to the day I can read a book that you planned. Me too. Thank you, both of you. After that, we continued chatting about random things, and the celebration came to an end. Then, 2 weeks later, Sarah graduated from college without any issues and started working at the publishing company in April. Sarah was assigned to the sales department. Apparently, at her company, all new employees are placed in sales for about a year before being assigned to their actual departments. Sales is really tough. Hearing about it and actually doing it are two completely different things. Is it hard to land contracts? Yeah, kind of. I'm right in the middle in terms of performance, but I'm not making much progress. Well, want me to give you some tips on sales? Wait, Dad, you know about sales? What do you mean, wait? What's with that reaction? Well, you don't really do sales-related work, right? Not now, but when I first went independent, I didn't have any connections. So I went around doing sales nonstop. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll take any advice you've got. So I decided to share some sales tips with Sarah. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It was simply a common tactic of targeting customers on rainy days. especially on days with heavy rain. That's the best. Is that because it makes the client think, if they went out of their way to come in this weather, I should at least hear them out? Exactly. If you can secure a contract, that's even better. But even just getting them to listen gives you an advantage. After that, it's all about your skills. Do you think people would really think that way? Not everyone, of course. But people aren't always that logical. You know how some people say they made a deal just because they like the person? It's kind of like that. Got it. I'll give it a shot since you suggested it. After that, Sarah started incorporating my advice into her sales approach. Since she was naturally good at talking to people, once she managed to set up a meeting, closing the deal wasn't too difficult. As a result, her performance started improving rapidly. In the end, she managed to rank in the top 5% among her peers. 1 year has passed since Sarah joined the company. The 1-year sales period ended, and it was finally time for her official department assignment. While some people didn't get into their preferred departments, Sarah successfully landed a spot in the planning department, just as she had hoped. She was over the moon, having wanted this assignment since before she joined. I can't believe I actually got into the planning department. Everyone wanted that spot, so I wasn't sure how it would turn out. But I'm so happy. That's great. It means the higher-ups recognized your hard work. I couldn't have done it without you, Dad. My performance improved after you taught me that trick. Glad to hear it. I wasn't sure if it would work for you, but it looks like it did. Guess that's the daughter of a pro for you. Haha, fair point. Now that you're in the planning department, it's actually possible that I'll get to see a book you planned someday. Yeah, I don't know when I'll get to lead a project myself, though. Still, I'll be looking forward to it. Now that Sarah was part of the planning department, she devoted herself to her work even more. She took on even the smallest tasks without complaint, doing everything she could to make projects succeed. It was clear to anyone watching how dedicated she was. About a year had passed since she joined the planning department. Finally, Sarah was selected as one of the project planning members, allowing her to put her ideas into action. Then Sarah collaborated on a publication project for her company and a partnership with a well-known corporation, both of which turned out to be huge successes. Among them, Sarah's idea stood out and was exceptionally well received, becoming an unprecedented hit within the company. I can't believe it was that popular. Honestly, I just blurted out what came to mind without overthinking it. Sometimes that's how it works. Ideas that resonate with people often come naturally. In the world of artists, it's not uncommon for a song made on a whim while drinking to become a bigger hit than something they spend a week perfecting. Is that how it is? Yeah, that's how it is. But you know, being a working adult is harder than I thought. Honestly, I kind of expected that once I got into the planning department, I'd have more freedom to work on the projects I wanted. Well, companies are profit-driven after all. There are many situations where logic and the company's interests take precedence over personal freedom and feelings. Looking back, I guess the whole year in sales was meant to help me understand that. I didn't fully grasp it at the time, though. That's normal. Not many people truly understand that in their first year on the job. Fair enough. But actually, there's something I wanted to ask you today. Something you want to ask me? Her request was to do a tie-up project between my restaurant and her company. Apparently, since the previous collaboration with a well-known corporation was a big hit, her company wanted to pursue a similar concept this time around. I see. I understand how the project came about. Thanks. So what do you think? As your father, I'd love to say yes right away, but since it's a business partnership between companies, I can't make a decision on the spot. Oh, I know. I'm not asking you to decide right now. I just wanted to let you know that this is one of the ideas being considered. Got it. Since it's a branding issue, I'll discuss it with my company and get back to you. All right. I'm looking forward to a positive response. With that, the conversation ended for the moment. Over the next few days, we carefully considered whether the tie-up would damage our brand image and whether it would bring any benefits. Still, it's really well thought out. The proposal shows respect for the collaborating company, rather than just using them for profit. Honestly, I'd love to have someone like Sarah working for us. In the end, we concluded that the benefits of accepting the proposal outweighed the risks, so we decided to move forward with the tie-up, presenting a few conditions. So we decided to accept the tie-up proposal with some conditions. I guess your company has already told you? Yeah, thanks for agreeing. Honestly, everyone in my department thought it was a long shot. Well, the proposal was well prepared. I judged that the potential downsides were minimal. By the way, was it your idea to collaborate with my restaurant? Yeah, the idea to team up with your restaurant was mine. I just suggested it, though. The senior members helped fine-tune the details. I thought so. It seemed a bit too polished for something you came up with alone. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Oh, don't worry. You'll learn the finer points as you gain experience. No need to stress about it. At Sarah's request, we agreed not to disclose our father-daughter relationship, as it could lead to complications, including jealousy from colleagues. Yeah, if people knew we were related, it would just cause unnecessary trouble. It's better this way. In addition to the tie-up proposal, Sarah asked if she could use my restaurant next Wednesday. Apparently, they were planning a welcome party for new team members, and she wanted to use my restaurant as the venue. Would it be okay? I really want to make it a special event to welcome them properly. For my beloved daughter, of course. Wednesday shouldn't be a problem. Really? Everyone's going to be so happy. Thanks. I caused you a lot of trouble back then. It's not much of a way to make up for it, but this much I can do now. What kind of dishes should I prepare? Thinking about Sarah's excitement, I started making preparations. Finally, the day of the welcome party arrived. Sarah, who needed to coordinate the party, arrived at the restaurant a bit earlier. Since I had reserved the entire place for the event, I was busy setting things up. But about 5 minutes before the scheduled time, I started to feel something was off. Hey Sarah, it's almost time, but no one's here yet. Are you sure everything's okay? Yeah, I noticed that too. But they're not the kind of people who'd bail without notice, so it should be fine. Saying that, Sarah tried to put on a brave face, but deep down she was clearly anxious because she had been restless for a while. Then 7 p.m. arrived, which was the agreed time. In the end, no one showed up at my restaurant except for Sarah. What's going on? Sorry, Dad. I'm going to make a quick call. Saying that, Sarah hurried out of the restaurant. A welcome party that's supposed to be a celebration is already feeling pretty gloomy. Is this really going to be okay? While I was worrying about the situation, Sarah frantically called one of her colleagues. Hello? Where are you right now? Today is supposed to be the welcome party, right? Huh? Where am I? I'm on my way to the party venue. Wait, right now? Didn't we agree that the party starts at 7 p.m.? Yeah, I heard that. But after you left yesterday, Anthony said the venue and time had changed. He said he'd let you know later. What? I didn't hear anything. Let me call Anthony. All right. I'm just as confused as you are. After ending the call with her colleague, Sarah quickly dialed Anthony's number. Hi, Anthony, it's Sarah. I heard that after I left yesterday, the venue and time for the welcome party changed. What's going on? Someone spilled the beans. Huh? Excuse me. I feel like I'm completely out of the loop. Could you please explain the situation from the beginning? By the way, who told you that? Is that really important right now? Fine. If you're that insistent, I'll tell you then. Anthony started talking, sounding almost defiant. Apparently, the decision to change the venue and time of the welcome party was entirely Anani's own doing. The reason for the change was that Anthony felt it was arrogant of Sarah to book such an expensive restaurant. On top of that, he wasn't really enthusiastic about the welcome party in the first place. So I'm canceling the 30 reservations for everyone except you. Wait, no, that's a problem. Plus, what about the others? Stop whining. I said it's canceled, and that's that. With that, Anthony abruptly hung up. While I continued preparing for the party, I waited for Sarah to return. When she finally came back inside, she looked completely drained. Are you okay? You look really down. What happened? Yeah, I just talked to Anthony. I'm really sorry, but he said they're canceling everyone except me. Barely able to force out the words, Sarah explained that the other 30 people had canceled at the last minute. What can I even say? I guess I was just getting carried away on my own. Maybe I was just being foolish, thinking everyone was as excited as I was. I'm really sorry, Dad. At that point, unable to hold back anymore, Sarah burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Dad. You even reserved the whole place for us. I'm really sorry. It's not your fault, Sarah. Nobody could have predicted this. I tried to comfort her, but Sarah just kept apologizing over and over. Since it was her idea, I could clearly see how much responsibility she felt. I really don't like doing this, but thinking that, I decided to make a call. The person I called was David. He's a high school friend of mine, and believe it or not, he's the current CEO of the publishing company where Sarah works. I only found out about this recently. We had a high school reunion, and it came up by chance during the catch-up. Hey David, long time no speak. John, wow, it's been a while since the reunion, 6 months ago, right? Yeah, that's right. How have you been? Doing well, thanks. It's rare for you to call me. What's up? Actually, I just had a big group reservation cancel on me. I had the place booked out, and now it's completely empty. If you're free, why don't you drop by? I'll treat you. Seriously? Sounds good. I've got a bit of work left, so I can be there in about an hour. Is that okay? Yeah, I'll be waiting then. An hour later, this time keeping his promise, David arrived at the restaurant. Since the sudden appearance of the CEO, Mr. King, caught her off guard, Sarah was completely confused. I took a moment to explain my relationship with David to her. All right, David, I called you here partly because you're my friend, but there's actually another reason. Another reason? I decided to tell David everything that had happened. I explained that the sudden cancellation of the group reservation was caused by someone from his company. Moreover, the reason for the cancellation was purely out of personal spite. You're serious? Completely. But I know this isn't your fault. It's not a company-wide event, just a single department. Still, I need you to do something for me. Do something. I want you to bring Anthony from the planning department, the one responsible for the cancellation, here right now. If you can't, I'm prepared to cancel our ongoing tie-up project. I'm sorry, but I can't work comfortably with your company while my daughter is unfairly treated like this. Wait, hold on. If that project falls through, the losses could be enormous, maybe even $50 million. I understand, but I can't collaborate with a company where someone in a managerial role cancels agreements on a whim out of personal feelings. That's my decision as a company leader. All right. I'll call him right now. You haven't changed a bit, still as quick to act as ever. While David called Anthony, Sarah looked at me with a troubled expression. Dad, you really didn't have to go this far. No. When things like this happen, it's better to deal with them promptly rather than dragging them out. Handling issues as soon as they arise is an important skill for working adults. Is that really how it is? That's how it works. Also, don't worry, I won't mention that you're my daughter. As we were talking, David finished his call and turned to me. It seemed he successfully summoned Anthony, who would arrive in about 30 minutes. Half an hour later, Anthony appeared, looking slightly nervous after being summoned directly by Mr. King. David immediately confronted him about the cancellation. I heard from the restaurant staff that you canceled the reservation on your own accord. Care to explain? Well, I couldn't help it. You see, one of my subordinates said at the last minute that they preferred a different place. I tried to stop them, but, wow, to think you'd shift the blame so shamelessly. So you're saying you canceled the reservation just because one subordinate suggested another place? No, not just one. Actually, most of my subordinates said they wanted a different venue. I really wanted to accommodate their wishes since it was a welcome party. That's not true. Unable to tolerate Anani's pathetic excuses any longer, Sarah reached her limit. She interrupted Anani's rambling and tried to reveal the truth. What's not true? Everything you're saying, Anthony. Earlier, you yourself said you canceled because you didn't like the restaurant. What? Stop making things up. I'm not making it up. Then where's your proof? Without proof, it's just your word against mine. I have proof. Saying that, Sarah pulled out her phone and played a recording. The recording was of the earlier conversation between Sarah and Anthony. It was filled with Anani's selfish remarks, leaving no room for doubt. I knew he seemed like trouble, but this is on another level, almost impressive in a twisted way. With such undeniable evidence, Anthony couldn't come up with any more excuses. Anthony, care to explain this? After listening to the recording, David spoke to Anthony in an eerily gentle tone. It's not my fault. What did you just say? It's not my fault. It's Sarah's fault. She always pushes ahead with her ideas without considering the team. What's wrong with feeling resentful towards someone like that? Now you're just lashing out. Truly hopeless. No, I never intended to be selfish with my work. People who cause trouble never realize it. You're just like the rest, thinking you're doing everything right when you're actually causing problems. I don't think that's right. Suddenly, a woman's voice echoed from the entrance. There stood about 30 men and women catching their breath. Wait, are those Sarah's colleagues from the planning department? Weren't they supposed to have canceled? Sarah seemed just as shocked, staring at the scene as if she had seen a ghost. You guys, why are you here? Sarah called us. And besides, your behavior seemed really suspicious. What do you mean? One of Sarah's colleagues started explaining how they ended up here. When Sarah called earlier, they had a feeling something strange was going on. They were already doubtful about the sudden change in the party's venue and time. Then, during the welcome party, they noticed Anthony leaving the venue in a suspicious hurry after taking a phone call. So they decided to follow him. We had no idea it would turn out like this, though. You followed me? Don't you guys have any sense of propriety? Right back at you. What? Also, nobody here thinks that Sarah has been selfish at work. On the contrary, she always checks with everyone and proceeds carefully. Other colleagues nodded in agreement. Anyway, we'll discuss your actions later. You can go home for now. Exposed and scolded by Mr. King, Anthony couldn't handle the pressure and quickly left, practically running away. Everyone, don't cry anymore. Let's just enjoy the rest of the welcome party. Encouraged by her colleagues and the new employees, Sarah was comforted as tears welled up in her eyes. She's really become someone they all look up to. Feeling proud of Sarah's growth, I brought over the platters that she had prepared despite the trouble earlier. Please enjoy the rest of the welcome party to the fullest. With my words, the room erupted in excitement. From that point on, the welcome party continued in high spirits, with David joining in as well. A few days later, it was revealed that Anthony, the root cause of the incident, had been fired after numerous wrongdoings came to light, including abusive leadership, stealing ideas, and even embezzlement. The root of this incident was his resentment towards Sarah because her achievements had outshone his own. He had planned to isolate her during the welcome party as a form of petty revenge. So basically, he blamed others for his own lack of ability. Yeah, I thought about giving him a piece of my mind, but honestly, I'm just too fed up to bother. Well, it was an unfortunate situation, but at least you learned something important, which is that nothing good happens if you focus only on your own gain without considering others. Never ends well. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I never thought I'd take someone like him as a cautionary example. The key is to always consider how your actions affect others. In the end, work is about building relationships with people. As long as you keep that in mind, you'll be just fine. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Saying that, Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Even though it was unexpected, this whole situation helped Sarah grow. I guess that's just how life works sometimes. With that thought, I continued to work hard on making the collaborative project with Sarah's company a reality.